I thank the permanent representative of the DRC for his statement, and I now give the floor to the permanent representative of Rwanda.
Thank you, Madam President, for giving me the floor. Let me also take this opportunity to congratulate you on assuming the presidency of the Council this month. I also thank SRCG Bintu Keita for the briefing, as well as member states for their statements. Madam President, before delving more into the content of the report, allow me to provide some historical context to this Council on the root causes of the current crisis in Eastern DRC. The presence in the DRC of communities of Rwandan origin speaking Kinyarwanda, which is our national language, dates back to before colonial rule. After decades of divide and rule, policies coupled with the stigmatization of these communities who were considered as aliens by both post-independence authorities and the colonial ruler, there has been various attempts at denying these people their fundamental rights of citizenship, safety, and protection. This complex situation was aggravated in 1994 when the Eastern DRC saw a massive influx of people crossing the border, among which were the perpetrators of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda. As a result, hundreds of thousands of Congolese Tutsi were persecuted and were forced out of their homes. They are now refugees living across the region with only one wish: returning to their homes in a safe and dignified manner. Madam President, given this historical context of the conflict and its root causes, it is striking to see that neither a military solution nor the scapegoating of Rwanda will provide a lasting solution to this crisis. In 2013, an attempt to end this conflict by way of arms did not hold for long, leaving us to deal with the same issues over again. One cannot repeat the same process expecting different results. The security and governance failures of the DRC led to the mushrooming of illegal armed groups. We count more than 250 armed groups. Chief among them is the FDLR, but we count also the Islamic State-linked ADF, various Mai and ethnically charged violent band of thugs, all roaming across Eastern DRC and causing havoc and mayhem. Despite numerous initiatives to resolve this situation, the lack of political will by DRC authorities to resolve the underlying root causes of the conflict brought us to the concerning security and humanitarian situation we witness today. In addition, Madam President, this midterm report highlights the importance of ownership by all parties in the peace process. So far, the international community and the DRC has failed to comprehensively ensure the protection of Congolese citizens, especially Congolese Tutsi populations who are being ethnically cleansed by armed groups, part of the coalition that MONUSCO supports. The report also highlights incidents that targeted innocent civilians. Rwanda takes this opportunity to reiterate its firm condemnation of the recorded attacks, including those against IDP camps, who were put at great risk by the presence of heavy weaponry in the vicinity of the camps, as documented by international organizations like Doctors Without Borders. Rwanda condemns with the same strength the attacks that claim the lives of UN peacekeepers. Such events are of grave concern. Madam President, I wish to clarify that Rwanda has never been opposed to any multilateral forces in Eastern DRC. On the contrary, Rwanda supported the East African Community Regional Forces efforts. However, it is important to recall that these efforts were undermined by the DRC government as they were not seen as offensive enough, despite having achieved great results, including the withdrawal of M23 by more than 70% and the ceasefire between the warring parties. In an effort to secure a more offensive force, the DRC government called upon SADC countries to intervene. In light of this, it is easy to agree that SAMI DRC is far from being neutral. In fact, it has even coalesced with ethnically charged illegal armed groups like the FDLR, acting under the guise of FARDC. It is well known that FARDC operates and is embedded with FDLR and provides military, financial, and other support. This support to the FDR poses a great threat to Rwanda's security, sovereignty, and territorial integrity. FDR is a threat to Rwanda and the Great Lakes region at large in its renewed capacity to cause harm, thanks to the support it receives from DRC's highest authorities, which even vowed to cause regime change in Rwanda. FDR also causes a great threat to regional stability because of its dangerous genocidal ideology, a cancer which has taken deep roots within the Congolese population. This results in the current ethnic cleansing and hate speech against Congolese Tutsi that the UN Special Advisor for Genocide Prevention, member states here are present, and many other observers have called out. This must be taken seriously. In view of these facts, Madam President, Council members, it is concerning that the UN Security Council would consider supporting such a force under Resolution 2717 of 2023. Rwanda appeals that the UN thoroughly examined the Sami DRC and to verify whether the support that is being requested is in line with UN human rights due diligence policies. This has been mentioned several times in this council. It is the duty of this council to ensure that member states' contributions do not end up in the hands of illegal armed groups, let alone a UN-sanctioned terror group like FDLR. I therefore call for this council to reconsider becoming enablers of genocidal forces and be tainted by association with their crimes. As you know, council members, FDLR has committed heinous crimes across the DRC. So any support to any force that is embedded with FDLR would be tainting the UN and its actions. Madam President, I wish to conclude by expressing once again Rwanda's support for regional initiatives, especially the Nairobi and Rwanda peace processes. Rwanda strongly appeals to the international community to support these regional efforts, which focus on political solutions, including the need for political dialogue and the need to permanently address the issues of the FDLR by disarming, demobilizing, and repatriating them to Rwanda. I thank you for your kind attention.
I thank the permanent representative of Rwanda for your statement. The representative of the DRC has requested the floor for an additional comment. I give him the floor. Thank you, Madam President. I apologize for having requested the floor once again, but untruths have to be denounced so that they shouldn't be pushed forward in front of this council, which is an important international institution. Madam President, the argument of the persecution of Rwanda, of English-speaking Rwandans is fallacious. The DRC is bordered by 9 countries, nine countries, and the populations of these countries are within the borders of the DRC, which in fact forms the DRC. We have on our territory Angolans, people from Gabon, from Central African Republic, from South Sudan. We have Rwandans, we have Burundians, we have others, Indians. All the countries bordering us have nationals living in our territory, living in peace with our territory. So it is absurd to believe that we would only persecute the Rwandan nationals. There would be no reason for us to do this. Secondly, the root causes of the conflict, we explained it already at this council, starting in 1994 when the genocide occurred. The genocide occurred in Rwanda between Rwandans, and the Hutus, which is a majority of the population in Rwanda, were welcomed by the Democratic Republic of the Congo following a military operation authorized by the United Nations. They took refuge in the east of the Democratic Republic of the Congo. According to Rwanda, they represented a threat. The Democratic Republic of the Congo even accepted to conduct joint operations with the Rwandan army, precisely to attack the FDLR, so that Rwanda does not have to say that they represent a threat. Today, the report of international organizations establishes that this is a residual force that doesn't represent anything. And I've stated here in front of this council, Rwanda has already declared that FDLR is not a threat to its security. Why does it continue to state the same thing? And finally, Madam President, as far as the support for DRC, we think it's absolutely normal that we should request this kind of support and that SADC should intervene, because we have on the territory of our country a country that is an invader. And this Security Council is a Security Council of the United Nations, which knows that a military intervention of this type, an aggression, must be repulsed, pushed back by the international community. That is all that we're asking. We're asking Rwanda to go back home so that we remain good neighbors and to engage in discussions. As long as they remain on Congolese territory, any discussion will be very difficult. Thank you. I thank the permanent representative of the Democratic Republic of Congo for his comment. The list of speakers, there are no more names on the list of speakers, and I now invite council members to informal consultations to continue our discussions on the subject. The meeting is adjourned.